My name is Caroline Cazardier. I am the country representative for the Global Green Growth Institute, GGGI. In Cambodia, our work is focused on green urban development. Specifically on mobility, we work with the Ministry of Environment and the Ministry of Public Works to promote electric motorbikes and to incentivize the use of electric motorbikes. And we are also working with the city of Siem Reap on a pre-feasibility study to look at the introduction of electric buses in Siem Reap city. The National Council for Sustainable Development of the Government of Cambodia turned to the Green Climate Fund with a project idea to promote electric motorbikes through policy incentives and financial incentives. And then the National Council for Sustainable Development turned to us to implement that project. And we worked together to formulate a whole set of policy recommendations. And now we are, based on all of that, designing a financing mechanism. How do you financially incentivize the switch from gasoline to electric motorbikes? So we're currently thinking of designing a subsidy for battery swapping infrastructure and a microfinance scheme to promote the use of electric motorbikes. And with that, our ambition is to, within this in a few years, see at least 20,000 electric motorbikes in the country. Transport, as you will know, is one of the main culprits in global warming. Transport sector emits around a quarter of the world's energy-related greenhouse gas emissions, and it's responsible for 80% of air pollution in cities in developing countries. So that's why electric vehicles have come to the fore as a necessary solution in the transport sector. What propels the use of electric vehicles really is, one, the spectacular reduction in battery costs that we've seen in the past few years, and secondly, good policies, firm policies. And those policies are becoming more common. You have countries like the UK and France, for example, who have declared that the sale of fossil fuel vehicles will be banned in 2030 and 2040, respectively. And you see a lot of countries now picking up similar policies, setting similar targets. But then also economically, electric vehicles are interesting. The maintenance cost of an electric vehicle is significantly lower than the maintenance cost of a gasoline vehicle. Now, of course, there are also risks. We shouldn't swipe those under the carpet. Battery waste is a challenge that we need to address. There are also environmental risks related to lithium mining, for example. So those issues need to be looked at and solutions need to be defined. What you'd want to see eventually is a shift from personally owned vehicles towards mobility solutions where we bring together public and private forms of transport, for example. So combining buses with taxis, with ride-hailing, car sharing, bike sharing, last mile solutions. And also doing more integrated thinking around motorized and non-motorized transport and how those two come together. And the accessibility, the walkability, the cyclability of a city really remain essential to tackle the transport challenges that we have before us. It's about stopping to think about electric vehicles as just selling products and starting to think about mobility and batteries as a service. And introducing ride-sharing apps, for example, like the one I was using earlier, introducing battery swapping systems, introducing leasing models. If you can do that, you overcome the anxiety around the range of a vehicle. If I can swap my battery at every street corner and just pop my battery in and take a new battery out, driving an electric vehicle becomes as convenient as driving gasoline with the business models. And I think the role of the government and of development partners is to enable those business models, for example, by subsidizing battery swapping stations or by issuing stronger battery quality standards. There are also a number of things that could be done on the policy front. What we'd like to encourage, for example, is financial incentives, tax reductions for electric vehicles or for batteries or for charging equipment, and promoting charging infrastructure. in that case, you would also want to look at battery standards to ensure good quality of the batteries. A last point on the policy front is that it's essential to keep the grid clean. An electric vehicle is only as clean as the grid that it charges on. And if Cambodia ramps up coal-generated electricity, at some point it will not qualify anymore for climate finance because the grid becomes too brown. So it will not be able to attract climate finance for electrification. I would say the message quite simply is, if you want to make a difference, drive an electric motorbike. It's good for the environment, it looks cool, and it's cheaper.